First of all, thanks a lot for the opportunity. We are very excited to participate in this AMA. I am an engineer by training, basically. I have a PhD in chemical engineering, and I serve as the CEO of the company. After I finished my chemical engineering work, I joined the oil and gas sector and spent like a good part of my career traveling around the world. If you're familiar with oil and gas, that's how it works actually. Every 2 to 3 years, you end up moving to a new place and help the oil and gas activities there. So I did that for about 16 years. Before that, I was in the academia at the University of Michigan. And I suppose every 7 to 10 years, I end up itching to make a big change in my career. So around the last itch, it was the blockchain itch, basically. So I had to get into that and familiarize myself with that revolution that's happening. So that's my story, actually.
Awesome. Thanks for joining. And it sounds like you have a lot of great historical background here, and I'm really excited to hear from you. Why don't we go back around the room a little bit? Tim, you want to give a quick intro?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Tim Shan. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Dexalot, which means that I'm responsible for many things, such as business operations, legal, compliance, and overall strategy. I joined the team last October. And prior to Dexalot, I spent 25 years on Wall Street. I ran operations, front-end trading systems, risk management, and compliance at a few hedge funds. And I was last COO of a global macro fund.
Awesome. Welcome. We got definitely lots of different experiences and backgrounds here. So really excited to hear from you guys. And we'll do Jonathan. You want to give us the last intro here?
Yeah, for sure. My name is Jonathan Ackerman. I started with Dexalot about 2 months ago. I think it's 2 months, just a couple days ago. Before that, I worked at Red Bull for 10 years on the culture and brand marketing side of things. I also founded and ran a music festival in the Midwest of the United States for 10 years. We ended up capping out at about 50,000 people annually. And I was the chief revenue officer over there. And then actually spent the past year of my life working in traditional fintech, where I quickly realized that there's not a lot of actual disruption going on there. So I committed myself to being a DeFi degen and came on over to the Dexalot team in Avalanche.
Nice. Welcome. Lots of great backgrounds here. So, and then we have Luigi here, who most of you know. Luigi, you want to say hello?
Hi. No, yeah, just excited to be here. I think you've all heard my spiel by now, so I want to leave more time for talking about Dexalot and the exciting things there.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on. So, Luigi, I'll let you take it away if you want to kick into some questions.
Sure. So, really excited, everybody, to have the Dexalot team here. On Avalanche, nothing really exists like Dexalot, so I think it's important to educate as much as possible. And with that, I'd like to kind of just open it up, maybe with you, Nihat, about kind of what is Dexalot. I mean, I think we all know by now it's a central limit order book on chain, but kind of how do you view the future of Dexalot and some of the immediate plans going forward right now? You're on mute.
Is that good?
Yep.
So as you said, Dexalot is a decentralized exchange, but it has a unique feature, having a central limit order book, a club, and everything is handled on chain, as you mentioned. And what it does, it essentially allows people to name their prices and own their trades, and whether they are buying or selling, they allow them to enter their limit prices currently, but we have the ability to add market orders as well in the future, as well as some additional order types are coming in. And what it does actually, it does the marketing to be done. It allows the market to be done in a very capital efficient way. So there's a couple of requirements for that one. It needs to have enough liquidity, and I'm sure some of your questions and eventually the topic will come to that. But once you have enough liquidity on an order book and enough depth, then it's going to be a lot more capital efficient to exchange assets and at favorable prices.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. So I think you guys have mentioned some immediate things to come in. I think I would love to first start diving into, and please, whoever on the team, is best suited to take the question, please speak up. But I'd like to first dive into the IDO and the tokenomics of the Allot token.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the immediate thoughts there. I know that's really coming up very soon. And so would love to hear a little bit about the token and the IDO in general.
So I'll start off, I carry on my discussion and I'll start off with that one, and then I'm sure Tim and Jonathan will add to that. So one of our unique features as part of the Dexalot offering is the Dexalot Discovery. It's essentially a price discovery process or product to enable a fair way of finding the initial price of any asset. And it is part of the IDO process, whereas the IDO handles, for example, ours happened on the Avalanche platform. It's about the distribution of the tokens to a wide population, right? So, and then after that one, the price listing part comes in, or price discovery parts comes in, and that's where the Dexalot Discovery is offering its unique feature. It allows it, or it builds on the order book concept of the central limit order book, and allows people to enter buy and sell orders in a non-matching fashion, so that the pricing of a new asset can be found over time dynamically. The process is going to be done for the first time on-chain for Avalanche ecosystem. And we thought it's going to be only fair actually to do it with our own token first before offering this functionality to, or new feature to, any other project. One advantage of it is, or the biggest advantage is, we are trying to make it so that it doesn't depend on the time or technology actually. So the current price discovery process happens on AMMs traditionally. And whenever that happens, at the very early timing of that, whoever has the technical edge, coding skills, or the ability to deploy bots can get into these orders and snipe them and get very, very favorable deals. And then those assets that are bought at very cheap prices can be turned around and sold to the public that are essentially buying. Instead of that process where time and ability to have the bots or technical edge being a factor, we would like to create a fair environment where over a 24 hours people can actually enter their best prices for buys and sells, where the price for an asset is established, and then at the end of it, it transfers the process to a live trading action.
Right. So one thing to add to that, I think that, Luigi, you were asking about timing and all that. So TGE actually happened, I would say, this morning. The private sale has been done. The IDO was fairly successful, and that was done last night. So the discovery process that Nihat mentioned, that will actually start tomorrow. I'm sorry, on the 25th. Hold on one second. I have my schedule.
It's actually tomorrow.
Sorry, it's tomorrow. Yeah, it's tomorrow, starting at 2 p.m. UTC time. And again, that's going to run for a little bit over 24 hours. And then we anticipate the Allot token to start trading on the 26th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's really exciting. So users will be able to participate tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Let's walk through like a user interaction with Dexalot Discovery that they can do tomorrow. So somebody wants to buy some Allot token, explain the process of where they will go, how they will buy it, what kind of orders and interactions they can do, and what it means for the overall, I guess, closing of Dexalot Discovery at the end of the process.
Mm-hmm. Let me take that one to start the discussion. So there is no special website or anything like that. So it's going to be available on our standard app website, which is app.dexalot.com. And the pair that's going to, or the asset that's going to enter the Dexalot discovery process is going to be one of the assets used in one of the pairs, basically. In this case, for our token, it's going to be Allot versus AVAX, basically. So the base asset is going to be the Allot token, and the code asset is going to be the AVAX. So on the seller side, so people who already have Allot tokens will be having those Allot tokens through two different mechanisms. Either they participated in an Avalanche IDO and they received some allocation through that one, or they participated in the private sale from Dexalot and they received some allocation through that one. And both have different vesting schedules, different percentages at the TG and stuff like that. But no matter what, they have a certain Allot that is available for them to enter the Dexalot discovery. The unique feature of the process is it keeps a closed system between Dexalot token vesting contracts and the integration projects, in the case of Avalanche. So basically, whoever has Allot tokens currently available, they cannot move it out of that closed system to their wallets, actually. So they can deposit directly from either token vesting contracts or Avalanche sale contract directly to Dexalot. Once they have those Allot tokens in Dexalot portfolio, and they can essentially name their price and sell at any price they want to sell. And for buyers, it's a little bit easier because they will be buying Allot tokens with AVAX counter asset. So therefore, all they need to have is enough AVAX. And again, they are going to name the price they are going to, they are willing to pay for Allot tokens. And during the discovery process, the orders being entered as from the sell side or buy side, they are not going to be matched. So the idea is to have a crossed order book where we can establish a matching price, and at the end of the Dexalot discovery process, there is a randomized closing. Again, I want to remind everyone that we are trying to avoid that time where a speed or technology becomes a factor. So therefore, the closing of Dexalot discovery process is going to be a randomized process. And even we don't know when it's going to be closed. And once it is closed, then the matching engine is going to start, or actually the indicative price that we initially show until the closing time is going to become the final price at closing. So then the matching engine is going to match all the sell orders and buy orders that are crossed at that sell price, whatever it is. And then once every crossed order or matched order is exhausted, there are not going to be a crossed order book anymore. And at that time, synchronize with everybody else, the token vesting contracts as well as the Avalanche unlock times, the light trading was going to start in the Dexalot discovery. So then a lot AVAX is going to be just like any other trading pair for people to enter regular buy and sell orders. I know it was a bit it was a bit long. I'm sorry, but I tried to kind of detail
you
the
explained
process.
it very well. So one question I had from there is, I believe you alluded to it, but I just want to make sure.
Sure.
What prevents somebody from, I guess, setting up a pool on Trader Joe or Pangolin during the Dexalot process?
Excellent question, actually, Luigi. I'm glad you kind of explicitly asked the question. So the thing that I mentioned, it's going to be a closed system until the unlock time or the vesting period starts on the token vesting contracts or on the Avalanche, where people will be able to withdraw their assets to their wallets. The withdrawals from the Dexalot is going to be disabled. So until then, so the funds from token vesting contracts and Avalanche can be directly deposited into Dexalot portfolio, but they cannot be withdrawn until the other sides are ready to unlock.
So is it safe to say that future projects that'll be considering Dexalot discovery should ensure that there aren't any tokens in circulation?
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. Because that's the key to find the for the fair pricing to be established. That's the key, actually. So we have to. Currently, we are working with multiple projects. There is quite a bit of interest in getting additional new projects listed on the Dexalot discovery, and we will be essentially consulting them with the process and make sure that this fact comes out. Okay,
so I just want to bring it back high level for the user that wants to participate. So somebody who does a little bit of work, has a consideration of where they think they might want to be buying the allot token. Let's say they come in and put an order in during the discovery phase. During that phase, I imagine that the order book will move, but not match. Am I understanding that correctly?
Correct.
So I'll see. Yeah. Okay. So I'll see that there's a highest bid and a highest ask. Mm-hmm. Let's just make it up $20 to $22 spread, and I then decide that I want to cancel my $14 bid and put another bid into 23.
Correct.
Is that'll be two transactions? Correct. And I'll be doing this during the 24-hour period. Is that correct?
That is correct. So there is quite a bit of information actually given on the key metrics during the Dexalot discovery process. So we did 3 test battles on. I'm sure Jonathan is going to touch these subjects later, but just briefly, we try to maximize the learning out of these test battles and include information that's valuable for people participating on Dexalot discovery. So we will have a dynamic range basically showing in what price range orders are matching. From this to that, all orders are matching on the from the sell and buy sides, for example. And then within that range, we also show an indicative price. So if the auction closes at that point, what would have been the final price? That's what an indicative price is. But during the discovery process, until the randomized closing happens, it's a dynamically moving range as well as price.
Yeah, it's very similar to like a treasury auction in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Right. So the main difference between traditional auctions on the exchanges is the fact that it's happening on blockchain, meaning every transaction bears a cost in terms of gas fee, and everything is transparently viewable by everyone. Right, so we had to adjust our algorithms, as well as the user experience, to the fact that everything is visible to everyone at any time, which is quite difficult actually. It's easier to do it blind auction, and design it for that
true.
one.
Yeah, that's very true. Actually, the fact that it's all being visible it'll be a fun experiment. But also, it sounds like quite an exciting mechanism and really an innovation. I don't think this exists on any other chain, from what I mean, unless I'm wrong, but on any other chain or any other DApp. So I'm pretty excited to see it. I had a question about the matching engine, and I want to get out of the weeds a little bit after this because I know I'm nerding out a little bit. But is the matching engine completely on chain? Is that an off chain, on chain hybrid for folks that want to understand how orders are matched at a high level? Kind of, how can you explain that?
Absolutely, it's actually. It's a very good question. I think it's fair to ask, and everything is on chain. The matching engine itself, both for the regular trading activity. When we say on chain, really everything is on chain, and that's no different for the auction piece either. Actually, it is on chain, and the fact is you can run this algorithm in multiple different ways, and hopefully during the hackathon in Barcelona, we will have a workshop on this one and give a little bit more background through some more or less like a classroom games. But you can run the matching in different ways and favor sellers, favor buyers, or become neutral, right? So in that respect, we work together with two professors out of Cornell and use their game theory expertise to come up with something that the matching engine always match at your limit price or better. Whether you are seller or buyer, you always get either your limit price or better.
Nice.
So therefore, honestly, it encourages people, the participants, towards good behavior, if you will. So if you show your true intentions, true conviction about this price, it kind of favors that behavior, and it's coming from that game theory background, actually.
Cool. Yeah, I'm very excited to see it out in action, and clearly, I know a Cornell professor as well, so I think
probably it's the same one.
So I think that there's some good trust built there. For users that are interested in the token, interested in how the token integrates with the actual application, how does value accrue to the Allot token, either based on a Dexalot discovery process or just in trading in general? Just owners of the token, what exactly is going on there in terms of value?
I'll take that one. Yeah. So the Allot token is the utility token of Dexalot, and it's going to be used in multiple ways. First, it's going to be used as our gas fee or for gas fees once we go to the subnet. It is also going to be used as for delegation and staking rewards for validators on the subnet. And also it's going to be used for governance. So holders of the Allot token can make proposals and participate in proxy voting. So for example, some of the proposals could be adding new pairs or changing fees or adding new features. So in general, that's where the value, or at least the use of the token is coming from.
Got it. Understood. Well, that's a natural segue for us into subnets and then the plans there. Why don't you just talk a little bit about, first of all, why, why subnet versus, I guess, any other chain or any other architecture, an L2 or just staying on C chain? Why is this decision being explicitly made? And then, what the timing potentially is around something like that.
Yeah, so from my point of view, the main reason I joined Dexalot was because of the capability of the subnet. So I come from Wall Street, and like yourself, Luigi. So I was looking at the speeds to finality of about 1 to 3 seconds. I thought, that's pretty good, and I think in general it's good enough for most people, right? But I think to get real adoption from institutional level guys, like high frequency guys, hedge funds, private equity firms, and people like that, it needs to be a lot faster. So I think from our perspective, we sort of need to go to the subnet to get that the added speed and throughput. So from what I understand from research that you guys put out at Avalabs, we're supposed to get improvement in speed and throughput of 10 to 100 times. So if that's the case, we are talking about finality in the milliseconds, right? That should be comparable to a lot of the stock markets in futures and FX. So I think in terms of timing, and also I'm sorry to back up a little bit. Also in terms of gas, we'll be able to control the gas a lot better. So it'll be lower gas and more consistent gas. And I think this week it's been pretty expensive, and gas has been fluctuating all week. So it's a no-brainer that we sort of need to get to the subnet. In terms of timing, I think we're looking at 2 to 4 months or so. I think there are a few things that needs to be worked out on your end. We're already testing it, so we hope to get there soon.
I would like to add a few things,
yeah, please.
Luigi, if you have time.
Please.
Okay, great. So in addition to what Tim mentioned, you also asked about other blockchains or other chains, as well as level 2 type of solutions, basically, right? Why we are squarely focused on Avalanche and subnets, right? I think that needs to be discussed, and because that's what brought us here and what a lot of our investors getting excited about, right? So I think we need to give justice to that. In one word, basically, I think what Avalanche Subnet is offering is true scalability to this process. I mean, for a dynamic order book to work, we need to get way beyond the user base of what we can achieve in the Avalanche C chain currently. And in terms of finality, maybe we are already pretty good, but any speed improvement will get us closer to traditional markets like Tim mentioned. But more importantly, I think the fact that subnet is offering a truly decentralized and scalable solution compared to other level 2 solutions in other networks. Otherwise, currently, you can find speedier networks, cheaper networks, and things like that. So if you compare our Avalanche C-chain experience directly to that one, maybe it's not the best choice. But I think if you factor in subnet and what it can bring in terms of scalability, it's actually there's no comparison to it, right? So that's why we are so excited about Avalanche, and that's why we are here.
Great. I mean, I think everybody in the spaces and really in the community is super excited for subnets. Feels like the constant thing that is eluding us at the moment. So I know that it's very close, and I think you guys are literally the perfect use case for it. So really excited to see that implemented. Do you have, I guess, after you guys do go to subnet, just a side question, and the token goes through the Dexalot discovery phase? Have you thought about whether that could actually be used in their application if it's on C-chain, or do you view the Dexalot discovery as kind of being a launch? I don't want to use the word launchpad, but a way to find price discovery that can be used for all chains, since an EVM subnet can be connected to literally any EVM chain quite easily. Have you guys thought about that at all?
I think there will be no limitation, quite frankly. I mean, once you get into multi-chain, or essentially if you get into bridging technology, as long as we can come up with something seamless enough, whether it's between subnets or the subnet mainnet versus different blockchains, is, I think, irrelevant, really, as you put it, because
that's
it could work.
Exciting to me. That's what's exciting to me, because you guys are effectively becoming a launch pad for all EVM based chains. Mm-hmm. I know from my conversations with bridging providers, their ability to connect an EVM subnet to all EVM based chains is trivial. So, if somebody wants to have a token that's, on another, like Ethereum mainnet, doesn't mean it can't start with Dexalot Discovery, which is kind of really exciting for you guys as well.
And Luigi, let me just step in real quick. One other thing that I do want to impress upon everyone is that while we're talking a lot about Dexalot Discovery right now as a fair price discovery solution for token launches, it really is, and I would like to think about it as just a fair price discovery solution in general. And it doesn't necessarily only have to be for token launches. And I think that when you take off that part of it, now you have something that's a really powerful tool that can be used for a lot of different things. So that's one of the things that I'm super excited about, at least with Dexalot Discovery right now.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah, totally understood there. And eventually, I'm assuming that there'll be just a ton of trading pairs, right, on the club, and if you have traders that's all they want to do, they can do that right into that direct subnet. So super exciting, guys. I'm really looking forward to that. I wanted to pivot a little bit. So we talked a little bit about this, but just for folks that, I guess are kind of more high level on some of this stuff. You talked about essential limit order book. Why, in your opinion, because you obviously made a very distinct choice here, and given your background makes sense, why is a central limit order book or a CLOB preferable, or more efficient, or whatever word you'd like to use, than an AMM? Would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'll take that. So I mean, coming from Wall Street, transparency is highly coveted and important. I would never do a trade if I don't know, where the market is, uh, so to speak. So as someone who's relatively new to crypto and certainly Avalanche, or Avalanche, excuse me, um, I tried an AMM for the first time only several months ago, and I was like, "What is this?" I was like, "How do I know where I'm going to get executed?" And I sort of pulled back. The main thing is look, it's capital efficient, right? In that, which basically means that I could put in a limit order and get it executed at whatever price I feel comfortable with, right? And I'll know that it's going to get executed at that price or better. I could also see how the market is moving, right? So it could be that it's moving around quite a bit, and I could hold back. The other thing I could do is for hedging purposes, right? I could, let's say that it was over the weekend, that this past weekend, and one of the things that I did was I put in a limit order to sell positions at a lower price, just in case if Putin invades Ukraine over the weekend, right? So it could be used for hedging purposes. I don't think you could do that with an AMM, right? So that's the main purpose of or the differences in terms of a cloud versus a AMM.
A few thoughts, Luigi, from my side. I think AMMs filled a very important void in the blockchain space in general, right? So I think until especially Avalanche or other some speedier chains came along, you cannot do a club-based system unless you have a finality of a few seconds, right? At least. I mean, if you have a dynamically changing order book, you cannot sustain that if your confirmations are coming 15, 20 seconds later, right? So by that time, the trade is already committed. So that's one of the main drawbacks. And I think Uniswap, for the first time, found a pretty ingenious way of handling that and created this AMM protocol, right? So I think it's innovative and also answers the limitations of the existing blockchain at the time, right? So, but currently we have a blockchain, even its current status, meaning Avalanche C chain, it can sustain a working order book. I mean, we proved that over the last 2.5 months, basically. It's perfectly fine. It's not optimal. That's why we are not increasing our trading pairs until we go to the subnet. But even now, it proved itself quite viable as a viable alternative. In the subnet case, it's going to be truly amazing, I think. And in the sense, both speed, cost, everything is going to be favoring a club-based system. You just need to come to a point where you have enough critical mass operating on that order book, so the spreads are tiny and giving users better deals basically over any other options. I mean, no matter what we do, I think the success is still going to depend on the fact that people entering orders on a club get better experience as well as better prices over other things, right? Otherwise, we won't be able to attract users, basically. So, but once we reach a certain critical mass, I think that's where the capital efficiency of order books kicks in and allow people to enjoy those kinds of tight spreads that they are happy to see on central exchanges.
Very cool. I do want to leave some room for questions, but I wanted to, before we got to that, I wanted to kind of give you guys a second to, number one, just talk a little bit about what's next. Obviously, we talked a little bit about tomorrow and you know, the allot token going through Dexalot discovery. But would like to hear a little bit more about other plans that, to the extent that you'd like to share. And then also would just like to hear a little bit about you guys as like human beings. It's so hard to see through sometimes the cartoons on our images, on our PFPs. And also, you know, when we're talking about some things like order books and, you know, centralized exchanges and whatnot, you know, the personality gets lost. And with the personality comes community. So would like to hear a little bit just about you guys too, as well, to the extent you'd like to share.
Yeah, so thanks for that. So I think the next big milestone is certainly getting onto the subnet. But and in terms of listing and more pairs, we'd like to do that thoughtfully and methodically. But our short-term or medium-term goal is to get probably 10 to 20 new pairs by, let's say, third quarter or so this year. So that is, I guess, it's quite a bit of work. We're building a pipeline for discovery as well. And putting in place policies and procedures to onboard new projects. And so that is, I guess, a good chunk of the rest of the year for us. And then just the second part of your question was a little bit about the personality. So I am from, I live and work in New York City from home. My wife is Turkish, and she's on Wall Street as well. And I got introduced to the project from my former doubles partner in tennis, Firestorm. So we used to play in tournaments, and we've won some prizes in the past. So and trying our best to stay in shape for the tennis season, but it's a little difficult right now. So.
Really cool, really cool. I mean, yeah, staying in shape in this market is pretty hard in and of itself. So, anybody else in the team before we take questions?
Jonathan, why don't you do the next one, and then
right.
I'll introduce myself a little bit more.
I do want to talk about some stuff that I'm looking forward to. Super excited for the Avalanche Summit in Barcelona. We're planning some really, really cool stuff there. So make sure that you come find us, which I'm going to put it out here right now. It's going to be really easy to find us at the summit. So you'll understand more when we get there. But I think that other than that, we're also really like leaning hard into the community because they've been so amazing for us. I think that we're going to do more games that incorporate our testnet and our Discord into the future. The testnet battles we did went really, really, really well, and people like loved them. So we want to try to do more stuff like that and find fun ways to incentivize people to get engaged. And then other than that, I live in Minnesota. It is insanely cold. It just got done snowing like 2 feet yesterday. And I do workouts in the morning to stay fit. I got engaged about a month ago, and I also like video games and music, obviously. Time at Red Bull, so.
Luigi, do we have time? Can I?
No, we're gonna skip you. No, I'm
okay.
Kidding. Of course we have time. Come on.
It's good.
Yeah.
So no, actually, I introduced myself already once, but I really want to introduce. So I'm one of the co-founders. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but my other co-founder, Cengiz, is my long-time friend. Like we were college buddies from 30 years ago, and we started the journey about 2 years ago together on this one. So I'm really, really happy to have him as our partner and co-founder and everything. So just wanted to make sure I included him here. He couldn't make it. The other one is actually Firestorm himself. I think he has been instrumental. It was kind of funny actually how we got to know each other. He started sending some product review questions and stuff over email once we started putting our testnet version out, and it was really thorough and very, very detailed. So it caught my attention. I started a conversation over email, and then we scheduled a time together, and then that's the first time we found out each other actually that we are both Turkish actually. So that's until that point we didn't know who the other person is. So a shout out to both Cengiz and Firestorm. Thanks for everything.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, you love to see when the community comes around and inevitably joins a project. It's just, it's what's exciting and cool about this space. So from my end, I'd like to say that, this was really informative for me, and I hope the community. I'd like to leave some room for questions because I think those are much better than the ones I ask. Kyle, do you think we have time to do a few questions? Cool. Well, thank you guys from my side, though. I want to say I'm really excited for everything you guys are doing. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Luigi.
I learned a lot as well. Really, really excited to have you guys as part of the community. So why don't we take a few questions here? Let's keep the questions as much as we can for the Dexalot team and focused on what they're building. I know everybody's got questions about Summit and tickets and, when's this going up or when's this going up, but let's try to keep them as much as we can around the Dexalot conversation. So if you want to request as a speaker, I'll try to add you guys up one at a time. Let's add Destiny Oni. Let's try this one. Can you hear us and speak? Let's see if this works. Also, as a reminder, in order to be able to speak on Spaces, you have to be on your mobile phone. So if you're not, it's not going to work. Join us next time. Let's see. Anybody else have questions as we try to get these just request to be a speaker? If not, we can totally wrap it up. Let's try this one. Christian, are you able to talk? Oh. Hello. Oh, all right, we lost him. All right. Anybody else? Final chance at asking questions. I know there was a lot of really awesome information here, and I'm sure there's a lot of materials everyone can go dive in and start doing their Dexalot research. So it looks like we're good. Any final parting thoughts from the Dexalot team, or Luigi, you got any more questions?
I have one. If anybody has some time to ask a question, but in the meantime, I would like to always, I forgot, but I always like to give a little bit of an opportunity for the team to drop a little alpha for the folks who took the time to out of their day to kind of to join us. And could the Dexalot team provide a little alpha or anything for the folks here while somebody gets a little brave enough to ask a question?
Absolutely. So here's some alpha actually. So we've been working on some sort of a reward mechanism, right? So we mentioned that several times. Like one of the utilities of the ALOT token is going to be being tied to a reward mechanism. So we would like to come up with a staking type of feature shortly after our TG, and it's going to be part of the website. I mean, we are not thinking about the general purpose pool type of thing for all the pairs, but specifically focusing on ALOT functionality for now. And in the long term, that is going to grow to some sort of reward mechanism that will tie to the collected fees, as well as the volume that is created.
There it is.
So
Understood. Very
I was
cool.
just trying to figure out the right way of saying it without
Spoken like a true
without Tim
politician.
getting nervous.
Well, I wasn't too successful. I blurted out.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's only for the folks who are able to take the time, and you're probably the most interested people in the index a lot, which is exciting to me. So I'm super pumped about that as well. So cool, guys. Kyle, if there's nobody, then I think we're good.
We have one here. Let's try this out. Our wizard, see if this one works. If not,
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Hey, so thanks for taking my question. Are you targeting a specific number of validators, and is that number going to change, or would it change the latency or performance of Dexalot? Thank you.
That's an excellent question, actually. When you asked, I realized that we didn't even touch that part. So if you look at our token economics, you would see we reserved about 50% of the entire token to operational rewards. And a good chunk of those operational rewards is essentially to incentivize the validators and delegators. So we would like to obviously tap into the existing mainnet validator population and incentivize them as good as we can, so we can retain most of them in our subnet. I think it's a subject probably we would discuss with Avalabs as well. We would take their expertise on that one. Honestly, we didn't think about a minimum, to be frank, but I'm thinking it should be in the hundreds to be able to replicate the decentralization premise that Avalanche made in the mainnet. Reducing that one to 510, I don't know. We don't want to create something. Basically, I don't want to name other chains, but basically, we don't want to replicate others. Basically, we want to replicate good behavior.
Yeah, so I can add a little bit of context on that as well, right? Like we do tell folks that like 10 should be the targeted minimum for validators. So, you know, I mean, you could get away with 5, but 10 validators is probably the minimum. Mm-hmm. In terms of like, you know, whether or not we'll reduce throughput, Avalanche consensus is unique in that front that by scaling validators, we're not really reducing any latency. So the reduced latency comes from different types of transactions, state concerns, and the EVM in general, rather than the consent. So they should be free to roam the world in the Dexalot discovery. So pretty excited about that. But good question.
Yes, great question. All right, looks like we're running up against time, so got to wrap it up here. Wanted to give a special thanks to the Dexalot team. Really excited to see the product come to life, see everything launch in the next couple months around the subnets, and definitely really excited to see what you got in store for us at Avalanche Summit. So just as a reminder for everybody else, Avalanche Summit is coming up March 22nd to the 27th. You can get your tickets. We just released the final tier of tickets, so that's also a little bit of alpha there too, that we haven't pushed this out wider to the social community yet. So if you have not bought a ticket yet, we are selling the last tier tickets for Avalanche Summit at avalanchesummit.com. So yeah, just wanted to say a special thanks to everybody on here. Any closing words from the Dexalot team?
I have just one thing. I encourage everyone to head over to Dexalot to try out Dexalot Discovery when it goes live. And I promised Firestorm I would reiterate that whatever the price is that is discovered through Dexalot Discovery is the price that everybody pays. So everybody pays the same price, and that's the discovered price.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds good. Anybody else from the team?
Just would like to thank you, Luigi, and everybody from the Avalanche team, as well as all the audience members, actually. Thanks for your time and support. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, seriously.
Thanks for joining us. Really happy to support, and stay tuned. We got a couple more Twitter Spaces coming up next week. We have a new game launching that we're gonna drop some news on this week and on a new Twitter Spaces next week. And yeah, keep following along and get your tickets to Summit.
Super excited about this.
Thanks, Luigi, for hosting. Yes, so much to come. All right, thanks.
Take care,
everybody.
guys. Bye, everyone.
See you all at the summit.
See you all at the summit.